We're live.
Hola Madridistas, welcome back to another episode of Let's Be Real podcast. If you guys are new here, don't forget to smash the like and subscribe to the channel. We are on the road to 3K. Big up people tuning in later on as well. Big up people tuning in from our audio platforms. Of course, as always, big up our sponsors, LBR20 on manscaped.com to get 20% off in free shipping. Also, go check out Fanatics, the official partners of La Liga and Real Madrid. The link is in the description below. Go show go show them some love. But yeah, man, make sure you use the affiliated link so that you guys actually contribute something towards the pod, and they know that you guys came through us. Also, big up Talksport as well. Talksport Fan Network supports actual fan movements like us. They've been doing that for the past 2.5 years or so. So pick up them. Always go check them out. Go show their socials some love. Right then, Farouk, big semi-final, Real Arena, Anoeta. I've mentioned this before. It's one of the most intimidating grounds to go to. It has been, at least when I was growing up. Although as of late we have had pretty decent record against Sociedad away. Um, but this semi-final kind of brought us a bit of a tricky matchup because although it was in Atleti or Barcelona, this was kind of the big game before we faced Atleti, and we had to kind of manage minutes cleverly. We had to kind of manage the the minutes for some of our key players also. Um, I think we did a pretty good job, especially the way we dealt with it. Before we came on, you mentioned it, Farooq. This was a professional performance expected of a team that is competing on all fronts. And Sociedad didn't make it easy. I mean, this is what we expected from Sociedad, all throughout their season. This has been the story where a proper striker or someone who is efficient enough to put the goal, um, put the ball in the back of the net would have, given them a much better league position. They're what mid-table for a reason. It's a bit off Sociedad's usual standards. Where they are fighting constantly for the top four, top six. Um, but they have a fair share of chances, man. Like we historically and even now in the present day, we give teams one or two great chances. I think we stood tall. We had a few neat breakaways. We took one good one. Should have probably had at least a couple of more. Alex Ramiro had a great night out. If not for him, we would have been going home with at least a two-goal advantage. But talk to me, Farouk. First leg, 1-0 win. What's the mood like?
I mean, that's the thing. It's. I think it's a very positive result. Like barring what happened at the end of the game with Dani Ceballos, but it was a very good
Mm,
result. Like it wasn't the best performance. It wasn't classic vintage performance. But as I said earlier, like before we came on, it was just a professional performance. Like the guys went there
yeah,
and they came there to get a result, and they were able to get a result. They stood they dug in deep. They were able to plug the holes. We saw players step up. I mean, today I was really impressed by the defending of Chouameni. He really stepped up, as a center back, big time. So, players stepped up and, they blocked the holes. We could see that since he was struggling a bit, but, also he was able to, manage and hold his all down for the first 45 before Lucas Vazquez came in.
yeah,
But overall, I would say, like, not a spectacular game, but, happy with the results. Like, it's just a game that, we wanted to go back to the Bernabeu, with something to play for, and with also
mm,
having like an upper hand in the tie, as well. And I think we got that done. I mean, I think a lot of the fans, if we give them that 1-0 before the beginning of the game, they would take it without even playing the game.
100%, 100%. I mean, if you remember, Farouk, the way Sociedad started the game, they really, had their job cut out for them, especially watching us field some sort of a mishmash of 11, where, most of the team was kind of, it basically looks like a team that was, thrown in to rotate deliberately. A team that included many of our first teamers and then also some of, the bench players as well. that kind of actually gave Sociedad the incentive to actually go process from the get go, and they did very effectively. I feel like we couldn't really find our passing rhythm up until we actually scored the goal. That made them kind of readjust a bit, and in my opinion, that's where we kind of started building our own momentum, because up until then, some of our plays, some of the composure on the ball from the likes of Kamavinga, um, they were finding it difficult. I mean, Bryce Mendes, Baranchea, all these guys, they were just hounding our boys down, and they did it to great effect. I felt like if they actually, if Kubo takes that chance a bit better, what was it, the third minute, second minute, if he has a better connection, it was on his weak foot, the game would have been a different, uh, occasion entirely. Because if Sociedad take, the lead at home, we would have had a bit of a, daunting order to actually, fly, claw it back. But I do feel like the quality would have eventually told, and especially with the second leg at home, we wouldn't have been, too bothered by it. But still, it would have made for a much better match. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the spectacle it delivered. Right, there was some nasty moments. There were some, sheer moments of quality from both sides. Although Sociedad kind of, choking up towards, their final third. Um, let's start right at the first big twist in the game. Endrick, man, Farouk. We have had discussions on Endrick on various levels, right? Whether he is ready, right? Whether his physicality, for me for one, I always thought his physicality would be a bit of an issue, and you and many others probably rightfully corrected me that it's a work in progress. He is what 18, 19. It's going to take him at least 3 years to kind of build up his uh, portfolio, and then kind of gain the trust of not just the fans, but the the management and the club itself. But Farouk, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay? Today's entire performance, I mean, not just the goal. We'll get to the goal, right? The goal is the icing on the cake, but just the gamesmanship, the mentality that he showed, how composed he was, how he was not forcing the issue, how he basically looked for what the game needed. Spreading the ball out when it needed. The game demanded it. I remember this instance where Carlos, fanatically, applauding from the sidelines for his switch over to Fran Garcia, where there was absolutely nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
Because Endrikov, 3-4 months ago, he would probably take a touch, try to dribble a man or two, and then instantly lose possession. Or one of his head loss moments, although it was a bit farther away from his usual, pulling the trigger range, where he would just, languish a shot in sheer hope. But this performance, I think, screams maturity for him.
Definitely, and that's
Mm,
something I agree. You talk about like the
mm,
lineup being disjointed, and I agree with that. Like
mm.
it was a very disjointed lineup, and we could see that from the very first minute. It's obvious that these players are not players that are used to playing with each other and like thereof.
Mm.
But to the point of about Hendrick, you totally hit the nail on the head with that example you gave, which Carlo
Yeah.
Ancelotti literally just applauding the fact that he because it was a sequence of play, right? So we were trying to break
Mm.
out. There was a bit of pressure from
Yeah.
from L'Ariel, and then like we were trying to break out, and then like Hendrick was available as an outlet to that. He took the ball, brought the ball down, and was able to switch the play,
Yeah.
which was something that's applauded. But generally, this is basic football 101. It's not something that you'd applaud. But then again,
Mm.
as we've come to know of Hendrick, is that like in these
Yeah.
situations, he brings the ball back, he just turns, he doesn't look up, and then he just runs into a wall or shoots the ball. From a very impossible distance, understand. So the fact that he was able to bring the ball down, look up, and find that there is space, for the
Yeah.
fullback to exploit, and him being able to play that ball into space totally, fits into the narrative that you just painted about. Like there is a growth here, which
Mm.
as we saw, Carlo
Mm.
literally applauded. that this is the most basic thing you'd ever do as a footballer. You understand?
Yeah.
There is no flashiness about that. But then it shows about, the maturity and the growth that Endrick is facing. Like, yeah, Endrick has played a lot, for Palmeiras in Brazil, but
Mm,
the top five leagues in Europe is a whole different caliber. You understand? You need to
mm,
understand the game. It's no longer about the individual, but rather the collective as a whole. So I think
yeah.
that's the thing. Like we're seeing, from Endrick is it's just that good. And as we've said, like this is someone that's just transiting from, he's 18 years old, transiting from a whole different system
Mm,
to a whole different system. Like we cannot put him in the same shoe that Vinicius had, because like when Vinicius came, Vinicius literally had, Eden Hazard and Gareth Bale constantly injured. So we had no choice but to play Vinicius Junior. But right now,
yeah.
that's not the case, you understand? So for Endrick, we just have to be patient to see, how he's going to adapt and develop into, into the player that at least he showed some glimpses that we saw today.
100%. I mean, when you actually deep it, right? How Endrick has tweaked his game. We knew the quality was there, right? But when it comes to if it was a Sunday league game, right, or if it was a kickabout with his mates, it wouldn't have mattered this much, right? But when it comes to um, games at the top level, right, and you're playing for Madrid, and then you make a few very glaring, obvious mistakes that not necessarily, it's not even polarizing. I mean, no section of the fan base or anyone would, more than a single brain cell would think, yeah, the shot that he took against Atleti was the right move. But then when it comes to how he handled himself against Minera, a couple of months, I think it has been more than 2 months. Um, if you watch that game and then you watch this game, in that game, Endrick was, yeah, he was feverishly trying to be the protagonist. He was so adamant that, yeah, like, give me the ball. I'm gonna make things happen. I'm not gonna use my teammates. I'm not gonna use the outlets that I have when I'm on the turn, right? But
Yeah.
what we saw tonight was a sort of assertiveness, right? I use this word a lot, but that's the kind of showing that we needed from Endrick, so that when it comes to a big game in the Champions League, or in the latter parts of the league, where we are kind of looking for a fresh idea off the bench, Endrick can give us. He won't be on the end of a 90th minute winner from a cross, from a header, but his positioning and his overall maturity that he's like starting to show now, slowly but surely, is going to come in clutch. I mean, if you look at the chance after the goal, for the one where Vini brilliantly switches it into Endrick, the first touch he takes, it's basically game over. From there on in, the center backs, the goalkeeper is not in the equation. It's basically just his power that you know stands in between it being a goal and not a. That for me is the indication of cold-blooded killer, Farouk. I mean, that's what I associated with good strikers growing up. They take the intangibles and the tangibles out of the equation through their individual quality.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like, I think one thing that I think no one's ever doubted with Endrick is that
Mm,
that quality that he has of a raw striker,
yep.
like a proper old school striker. You understand? We
Mm.
remember the goal he scored against. Can you remember him in the UCL? Who was it against? I think we won the game 3-0 or 2-0. I can't remember. It was the first game of the Champions League where
Was it Stuttgart?
exactly. It was, oh, okay. It was Stuttgart. Then yeah, it was Stuttgart. It was the game against Stuttgart where he literally, turned on the half volley and hit the shot. And I think that those kind of moments just shows you that there is a diamond in there. It's just like a rough diamond
Mm,
that needs to be refined, more
mm,
or less. You understand? As we saw with
mm.
Vinicius and then Rodrigo,
Yeah.
and now we're seeing with Endrick as well. Like not everyone is gonna come and hit the ground running like Jude Bellingham did last year. You understand? So I do
Mm,
think that's the thing. I feel like with Endrick, I think everyone knows and sees the quality that's there. it's just about that rough edges that needs to be polished out. That ability, and as you again give a good example. With the touch,
Mm.
it's literally taking
Yeah.
taking away the defenders with those kind of touch, and it's just nothing about quality. It's just it's just individual quality. But the thing is that
Mm.
again, I go back to the fact that it's no longer just about the individual, but it's about how you fit into this team. You
Mm.
understand? Because maybe
Mm.
while you're at Paris, you might be, the big fish in that, in
Yeah.
a small pond. Now you come, you're literally like the smallest fish in the, in a pond of whales and sharks. So
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
to, it's just eat or be eaten more or less. It's a cutthroat game. So you need to grow and, become a big boy like the other guys are also. This is something that takes time and also,
Mm.
takes a bit of learning. And that's the thing we're seeing, like, as we spoke about earlier, that the little applause that we saw from Carlo for it's about encouraging those growths. You understand? It's about encouraging that that adaptation to the team, not just the quality, the individual quality alone.
100%. 100%. Um, but when you actually also look at how Endrick has handled himself in games where he necessarily doesn't provide the output, right? I've always seen that he is a very hard worker. He presses his man very well. I mean, I don't think he really shies away from a tussle, and that just is another very big quality that I can praise him for. Um, all the indications are good. I mean, the only thing standing between him and regular minutes is the likes of Vini and Rodrigo and Mbappe. Um, and how basically every competition would require these guys to be the poster boys. Endrick, I think, given the right circumstances, given the rare occasion that we run out of answers, he can step up, and that's how so many young players have broken through. You know, not everyone can really benefit from you know a decade defining overhaul like it happened with Vinny or Fede. Some people have to really bide their time. And I think Arda Güler is unfortunately on the wrong end of that debate where he, is lacking ideas, losing confidence by the minute. Endrick is that player who is just, I don't know, he's just thriving. I'm not sure about how much overall they've played before they uh, came to us. I mean, I'm pretty sure Endrick had a bit more game time. Farooq, is that
Actually,
actually?
I'm not exactly sure about how much
Mm.
Endrick had played, but I
Mm.
I've always said it's like like before Arda Güler came to us, he was just playing football, that top flight football for 18 months, and for half of that,
Mm. Mm.
he wasn't a very integral part of the team. For the last 9 months of his stay at
Yeah.
Fenerbahce was where he was really integral in that team more or less.
Mm.
So I think
Mm.
that's the thing, and I think it's unfortunate what's happening with Arda Güler because Arda again today, unfortunately, didn't make a case for himself.
No.
He did not make a case for himself. And it
Mm.
begs the question now, like, okay, is it the issue of being misused or is it the issue of, because I
Mm.
feel like today he was very, very defensive. Like he helped out, to the defenders a lot. Like at first it was Asensio and then later on to, Lucas Vasquez. But the
Yeah.
issue is that like, when you see a player like Arda Güler, it's either maybe he needs to bulk up, he needs to learn this thing, he needs to become more physical. But the point
Mm.
is, he gets so deep defending that eventually, when the ball is being transited, he's not there to make an impact.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
understand? Or
And
rather,
and
yeah, go
mm.
on.
No, even when he actually tries to take man on, it's not coming off. The one good chance he had 1v1 against the fullback, he just slipped and fell. I mean,
He slipped, yeah, I remember. So
mm.
I think this is the point. I feel like, again, like it's about
Mm.
position that he's being played. I do feel like playing on the right wing might not be the most ideal for him. At
Mm.
least in the system that we play. I think okay, like as a right
Yeah.
midfielder, yes, but not as a right winger.
You need to have that breakaway paceman. I'll be very honest. On the wing, either you have to be Messi or Di Stefano. I don't know to actually basically take so many key cogs in the opposition defense out of the
So
question. You need.
I was
Mm.
saying this yesterday to
Mm.
Sayal during the previews, and I was saying to him like,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
I
like
remember. Mm.
Endrick and Arda are two different things in the sense that we don't have a player like Arda in the team. Sorry, it's a player like Endrick in the team. There is no
Mm.
actual number 9 in the team. So because of this, Hendrik will always get a way to show up or not show up. That depends on him absolutely. But
Yeah.
for Arda Güler right now, he's in a situation whereby some people argue that even the formation we play, the 4-3-3, doesn't even suit him. Then
Mm.
others argue that, okay, who is he going to replace? He's going to replace Jude Bellingham.
Yeah.
That's absolutely impossible.
Mm.
And then I was saying to, to Sahel, I say that, in my opinion, we've seen this. Fede
Mm.
Valverde was on loan. Casemiro was on loan.
Mm.
Dani Carvajal was on loan. Fran Garcia loan came back, or rather, so then he was bought back. You
Mm.
understand? So you look at
Yeah.
this we had in the past, Lucas Vasquez, Jose Maria Callejon, just to name a few. And they've come back and they've carved a very good career for themselves at Real Madrid. I do feel like Arda Güler,
Callejon never came back. I mean, he left.
no,
But
he
yeah,
came
you're
back.
right. You're right.
He went to Espanyol, came back, won the title with Mourinho, and then went to Napoli.
He went to Espanyol before, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jose Maria
So,
Callejon
so
first went to Espanyol.
2013 was the year he came back, because 2012,
Exactly.
I remember he was with us. My memory is.
No, I think he came back in 2011.
Oh, okay. He came back
That
into
was
the. So he went on loan in 2010.
exactly. He went on loan in
Oh,
2010, and
okay.
then he came. So
Okay.
I think
Okay. Okay.
it was a buyback, not a loan. Sorry, buyback. It was a buyback. It was a
Okay.
buyback with Jose Maria Callejon. He went, he came back, he became a great member of the team.
Mm.
Won the title
Mm.
with Mourinho, went to
Yeah.
Napoli. You understand? So I just kind of feel like maybe we got spoiled with what happened with Vinicius and Rodrigo, that we
Mm.
think that these youngsters have to break through. But the point is that at least since I started watching Real Madrid has never been a team to break through youngsters.
Mm.
We've always gotten these players. I mean, we got Valverde from Penarol. We got Casemiro from the Brazilian league as well.
Yeah.
Valverde went
Casemiro
from
from Porto. Porto.
no. Casemiro came from the Brazilian league.
Oh, yeah. Into the youth. Yeah.
Joined
Yeah.
Porto, and then we got him back. With the
Mm-hmm.
vibe. So this is what I'm trying to say here is that I'm not trying to be harsh on like Arthur Güler is not able to break it. Like I mean, we saw even with Martin Odegaard, bro. He is the captain of
He should
Arsenal
be
right.
open to options, Farouk, right?
So
Like he should be willing to go out on loan.
here they say that like bro, Arthur Güler and the club has decided that you're not going for a loan, bro. You're 20.
Mm. Yeah.
You're not
Yeah.
20.
It's almost like, bro, you have to realize the era that we live in, right? I mean, when people whisper loan, quote unquote, they almost think it's, yeah, I'm being sent to detention. That's the vibe. That's the vibe, Farouk. That's the vibe. It's not like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna go and help someone up, help someone else out and learn my trade. It's no longer the case. I believe. I think that's why the general PR surrounding Arda Güler has been very averse to any idea of a loan. I mean, we have to really talk about this in the summer. What is he going to do? Because he's coming up against, like you said, Jude Bellingham, Camavinga. That is Ceballos who has been, who has had to basically wait an eternity. Was in the gulag, for a good half part, of the decade. So he has to look at all these examples and be like, yeah, like I need to up my game. It's no longer the matter of physicality. It's more or less the matter of, yeah, knowing what to do in a specific moment in time. Because as soon as he faces, I'm telling you, like I've seen enough of Arda Güler over the course of the end of last year and this season. It hasn't been exactly ideal in terms of getting minutes, but whenever he comes up against someone who is no nonsense, Arda Güler often doesn't have the answers. We see rare sparks here and there, but not good enough. Not good enough. But coming to Endrick for
Absolutely,
go on,
he has.
go on.
Yeah. I was just, saying
Mm,
absolutely he hasn't. And I just feel like, like similar to what, Martin Odegaard did with the loan to Sociedad. I think,
mm,
finding a stable club in the league, as we've seen, like over the
yeah.
past years, we've seen Villarreal has been a stable club, Sociedad has been a stable club, Manuel
Mm,
Pellegrini and Real Betis have been a stable club. I think he
mm,
can look at one of those three teams and, like go there on a season loan and see from there, after that, explore his options and see what it is. I do still believe that he has a future at Real Madrid, but I just feel like sitting on the bench, warming the bench is not going to put you anywhere.
mm, yeah. But coming to Endrick, bro, the finish. I mean, outside of the left foot. the take on the run. It's not easy. It's not easy. You can actually really mess up the touch, and the defender gets a hold of you, or it takes you wide. Endrick is so clever in that regard. I mean, even for the second chance we discussed earlier, like his first touch is what sets up the entire sequence. Jude Bellingham will get to him, but talk to me about the finish, man. It's impressive.
As
It's deadly.
I feel like, like two touches, man, two world
Mm,
class touches.
mm,
As we said,
mm,
like the quality is never in doubt. Those two touches were phenomenal. The first touch to put him in stride directly where he wants to go, and the second literally just sold the goalkeeper. Like Alex Ramiro did not even know what hit him
mm.
because he was expecting, I think, Hendrik to shoot with his right. Hendrik shot with the outside boot of his left. He
Yeah.
didn't even shoot with the left. He shot with the outside boot of the left.
Mm,
You understand? So
mm,
that's the thing, like, like it's absolutely, it was a phenomenal goal. Honestly, even I was watching with Italian
yeah.
commentary, and the guy was like, "A la Modric," he was like just like Modric, like with the outside of the
Mm-hmm.
ball. Like, it was honestly, like, that goal absolutely was oozing class, from the pass to the control to put him in stride to the finish. It was an absolutely good goal, especially when you come up against an inspired goalkeeper, Alex Ramiro. We saw like how much saves he had in the game. Like
Yeah.
it was a really 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 good and a world class finish. Hats off to that finish. Honestly, like perfect touch, perfect goal.
100%. I mean, it's a trend. I mean, there's a reason why this post match title is basically Bobby's Cup, Bobby's Copa. I mean, I have to be honest. He is putting his fingerprints all over this search for the elusive, the much coveted. I'm not gonna shy away from mentioning it. That has really eluded us for the last decade or so. This is something, if we win, it should be rightfully, Bobby's Copa del Rey. It begs the question, right? If you are the manager, Farouk, in the second leg at home, Mbappe, will he come back into the side? He will, right?
Yeah, man, I just can see.
Mm, mm,
I can see.
mm.
I can see anything other than
It's
that.
harsh.
Honestly,
It's
I would
harsh. It's
love to say
harsh. Mm,
no.
mm,
Yeah, I would love to say like like no, he wouldn't. But yeah, man, I just can't see. But I
mm.
mean, maybe who knows? Maybe he starts with Mbappe and
Depending on
and
the
we'll see.
schedule, if we get past Atleti, fingers crossed, inshallah, right? Um,
Yeah,
this matchup is first week of April, April the 1st, literally. So it might be sandwiched in between the next round of Champions League fixtures. So who knows, right?
yeah. I mean,
Who
it's
knows?
definitely going to be sandwiched in between the next round of fixtures.
Mm,
Actually, that's
mm, mm,
it's
mm,
definitely
mm,
going to
mm.
be sandwiched
So
in between
there is
that.
a slight chance he might get the nod, right? But the final, no chance. If we are making it, the final, look, I have to really, really
Yeah,
try hard. And
really, you have to really think about it. Even right now, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Honestly, you have to really,
mm,
I don't know, dig into the archives to be able to find that. That's the thing, Jude, like he makes a lot of things look so effortless. Even the way he dropped the pass. I
yeah,
mean, it was like nothing. The way he dropped it, it was so effortless.
mm,
Like Jude, honestly, like Jude has been something else. Like I had reservations about how Jude was gonna like adapt to the team or lack thereof. But every week he just keeps showing you that like yeah, for a player of his quality, there's no such thing as a bad game. Like even his bad game is the best
yeah,
game of some other top class players. Like that's just
100%. We hear all these murmurs, right? Alexis McAllister. Oh, he's this next level guy, who can basically make things happen out of thin air. I mean, Jude Bellingham adds his defensive work rate to, I think, something even more impressive than Alexis McAllister. I'll be honest, I haven't watched Alexis McAllister extensively, but Bellingham surely has to have the head start on all these, man, purely down to the work he puts in going the other way. If you remember, so many of our chances, especially when Ferry is not playing, it's even more pronounced. It stems from Jude Bellingham's, tracking, his positioning, his awareness to basically be the guy to win the ball back. Right? If you remember the chance he laid it on a plate for Vinny as well. I mean, Vinny should give the guy his second assist. Jude Bellingham is, bro. I mean, I'll be very honest. He should be surely the best midfielder in the world.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, there is nothing to counter with that. I don't think there is any better midfielder in the world. That's just
Mm.
the thing. Like, I don't think. I just can't. Honestly, I don't know, man. I don't think there is
Only
any.
person who would come close, Fede Valverde. I think they're
I mean,
fucking neck
that's
and
that's
neck.
what I was gonna say now because like
Mm,
I've always referred to Fede Valverde as the best midfielder on the team, because I consider him as
mm.
a central midfielder and I consider him as an offensive midfielder. You understand?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like, those two guys are the best midfielders in the world. I just
These two
I mean,
guys bail Carlo out. I think these two guys basically decide the game. I mean, Carlo doesn't even need to really go extensively into tactics because of this. I mean, they do their homework, but I'm pretty sure when you have two race horses like these guys, I mean, Farouk, you're supposed to win. Surely gonna win.
yeah, man. I mean, honestly, like it's been a pleasure, having a team that's transiting from Cruz, Modric, and Casemiro, and then now we're stumbling upon the axis of Jude Bellingham and Federico
Yeah.
Valverde. Like it's been a blessing. Honestly, like you just cannot take what we have for granted. Honestly, like as you said, like
Mm.
I don't know, man. I just can't think of any midfielder. I mean, like the Barcelona midfielders, absolutely not. We know the midfielders of Man City have absolutely
Pedri,
deteriorated.
quality player. Quality player. Casado, quality player. But
I
are
think
they
they're
as multifaceted as the ones we have? I don't think so.
they are not operating on the same level, man. They're really good players.
Mm,
Of course, everyone is really good.
mm,
You also mentioned, McAllister or Sociedad of Liverpool, like really good players, but like they're just not
mm.
operating at that level, man.
Yeah,
Honestly, they're not operating at that level. Like that. Odegaard also he's really good. Okay, like this past few months he's been really down, but even at the
yeah.
top of the game, like he's a really good. But I just still feel like he's still a level below that as well. Honestly, I just
He's
feel
the Odegaard is the sort of player who is supposed to be in the ilk of say an Isco, right? Um, we can we can have Isco in the team and disregard his work rate, disregard the way he doesn't contribute anything off the ball. But then Odegaard is the player who can't deliver what Isco delivered. I mean, this is the thing with the midfielders that we hear outside our club. It's almost like, yeah, man. I don't see the overall product that people hype these guys to be. I mean, when I look at my boys, it's bias, but I'd also say if you watch the league regularly, and I'm pretty sure the Champions League matches, millions tune in, they get their reality check, and it's it's hard to argue against the likes of Jude Bellingham, Fede Valverde, and Ceballos to the mix. Farouk, incredible. I mean, apart from one appalling pass that he tried to switch it to Vasquez, even uh, I was shocked. That if you remember, like he immediately raised his hand up and was like, "Yeah, that wasn't me." I mean, it was the Ceballos from pre 2022. But his overall effectiveness in games, the way he dribbles away from pressure, the way he is so nasty that, yeah, he looks silky on the ball, but then if you go near him, he's going to at least win a foul by being smart. I mean, for me, a big game without Ceballos is a definite worry. I mean, bro, like when he was clutching his knee after the collision with Kubo, I was crestfallen. I keep having to really pinch myself. Where I would have thought 3 years ago there would be a timeline where I would be going through emotions like this because Ceballos is irreplaceable at this moment, Faru. You know,
So
uh,
I agree honestly, and I do hope that it's eventually nothing because like the clash of the knee can be a very, very bad injury, honestly. I do hope. And because, we
yeah,
saw he actually attempted to stand up and, get back, and unfortunately his
he
body
couldn't.
just could not.
Mm,
That's when I feel like, oh, I hope like, it's not gonna be something that's gonna, come back and haunt us, especially when we have
yeah,
this, big games, especially that game against Atletico Madrid, man, especially
mm,
that game. Because
yeah,
that's one of those games that you need someone like Dani Ceballos.
mm,
Unfortunately, like Luka Modric's body cannot, handle that anymore. That's just the truth. Otherwise, like Luka Modric would have been the perfect person, for this game. But Luka Modric cannot handle that anymore. So you take the next best thing that we have on the team, and as you said, Dani Ceballos has been phenomenal for the past 4 months. So honestly, like you just cannot take anything away from Dani Ceballos, and I really, really do hope, uh, that he's it's nothing serious and just a knock or maybe a rest during the weekend and he's back to fitness again.
Mm, mm. And also, if you remember, the Bryce Mendes, he attempts to basically, shimmy and then fake and then go the other way, go this way, go the other way. Ceballos is like, I'm not having any of that.
Any
I'm
of
gonna
that, yeah.
just I'm gonna second guess you and win the ball. That's it. Clean as um yeah, man. Ceballos, I'm very surprised. I'm very surprised by the trajectory that he is currently, on. There'll be a huge case. I mean, I'm telling you, I mean, he can't beat out Jude Bellingham and Fede Valverde. I mean, who would, right? But out of those two, third best midfielder, I think, for the season so far. Can you
Absolutely,
can you argue that? You can't.
absolutely. I mean, I'd say he's one of the best players this season. Honestly, I mean,
Mm,
absolutely one of the best. I
mm.
mean, maybe sixth, seventh best player on the team this season. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Right then. Quick thoughts about Sensio at right back. We have heard rumors that they've been trying him at right back, and he has looked out of depth there. I mean, that slide attempt to slide with 2 foot out, 2 feet out on a guy who is basically, trying to get past you is just, man. Yeah, there is a reason why I think these guys haven't really played much at right back.
Yeah, I actually do think like
Mm,
Asensio at right back doesn't look as much, but compelling or as much, appealing as he was at
mm,
center back because I feel like
mm,
since the very first minute, Berenschel literally had him on toast. Since the
mm,
very first minute, he did not look comfortable, and that's the
mm.
thing. Like Berenschel literally was doing whatever he wants. Either he was cutting in, going on the outside, like
Yeah.
of course like that yellow card was coming definitely. So I
Mm,
just feel like again, that's the thing, like we always have to remember, like no matter how good Asensio is, like he's a player who just came into the team 2 months ago. You understand? So
yeah.
this is something that's expected of him. Like playing as a right back in an unfamiliar position. Putting in this kind of shift. It's something that I mean, even we've seen how Chouameni struggled a lot at times when playing center back. And Chouameni is a seasoned professional. This is someone who has
Mm,
played at the World Cup, played in a World Cup final also. Like
yeah.
and then you see someone like Asensio. So if he's going to transition even eventually into this position of a right back, it's going to require a bit more, hit and miss before he's going to be able to, eventually uh, make that position. But I do feel like
Mm,
while trial Asensio as a right back, just the problem is go out in the summer, get someone, make
yeah.
Asensio your fourth center back. If of course we're not going to get a new center back, like if you're going to rely on Rudiger, Militao, and Alaba, make Asensio your fourth option, there. And just move on with that. Asensio has shown that he's more than capable in the very high, high pressure games. He's more than capable of holding down his own. So, why try to put him in a different position? Okay, I can understand in the context of the here and now, we might be short on bodies, but in the long term, I just don't see a reason why you convert Asensio to a right back.
Mm, yeah. I mean, Carlo clarified in the press conference that he took off Sensio because of the chance and whatnot. The less said about it, the better. But um, I think that was a smart move from Carlo. It could have gotten out of hand, and he used his I mean, meager 35, 40 years of experience to pull him out of the firing line and yeah, give him some confidence. I mean, this would have gone bad if not for that decision. But I'm reading on Twitter, Edo Aguirre, apparently he mentioned that the feeling isn't great with Ceballos. He could be out for a month and whatnot. So yeah, that's another spanner. Basically, in our hopes to actually have a less woeful a trip to Wanda, because I'm not sure how are we going to handle, especially if we don't have a significant lead in the second leg. I really tend to worry with second leg being away always. Um, Remind me, Farouk. Yeah, like my memory, even when I mentioned this last time, I couldn't quite recollect. But correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, didn't we lose the second leg in the double winning season, the duodecima, um, away to Atleti after winning the first leg 3-0 at home? Didn't we
Yeah,
lose
yeah,
it 2-1 or something?
we lost that game. I think that was the game where the
Isco scored.
Benzema magic, right? Exactly, the Benzema magic,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
like hit the shot and like
So we lost
his
that game, that
yeah,
particular
we
leg.
lost
We
that game.
lost it.
Yeah, we
Right,
lost that game.
right,
We lost that
right.
game.
So there you go. I've been a freezer to what you already. Um, but yeah, man. Some other nice showings. Lunin, Farooq, when called upon, delivers.
Yeah,
I,
that's
I,
just
I,
it.
I don't think there is anyone out there among our fan base who would really look at a lineup and be like, "Oh, Lunin hasn't had much game time. How is he going to cope? He's going to cope. He's just that guy." I think over the years he has just built up that mentality, that maturity to basically step up whenever the squad needs him. Like how can you be so assured about the way that you handle yourself when 90% of the time during a season you're not going to get a kick?
I mean, that's very difficult to say, man, honestly. But
Mm,
this is the thing, like being a second choice goalkeeper at a high level club, this is what it demands. You just have to,
mm,
keep yourself sharp always, at the very you can be called upon at any moment. And as we saw, like at the very beginning of last year, even Kepa came in
yeah.
because there were a lot of reservations about Andre Lunin, but
Mm,
then Lunin stepped up big time, became a goalkeeper that was worthy of the Yashin Trophy. Let's not forget when he was part of I think it was it 7 or 6 goalkeepers that were up for the Ballon d'Or Yashin Trophy. That was the level at which he was playing last year. And then
mm,
unfortunately, he's back on the bench right now. So, yeah, okay, like the form might be in and out of the window, but the class is just there permanently. And it's difficult to keep that. But, I think
mm,
the fact that you're training with the best goalkeeper in the world, I think it's something that gives you motivation. That's because you know that you're going to get a very small window. You need to
yeah.
be at the very best for that small window. Otherwise, it's gone forever and ever.
Mm,
So
mm,
I kind
mm,
of
mm,
feel
mm.
that might be, something. And also like training with the best goalkeeper in the world also pushes you as well, as an individual professional as well,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
pushes you to reach, even higher limits. So I think maybe that's just it. But I think it's very difficult,
Mm,
to answer the question about how do you keep motivated when you're just literally gonna get one game a month.
100%. I mean, on a game time level, it can be pretty taxing, right? Like it can take a toll eventually. I mean, I don't think Luna will be here doing this for another 4 years. I'm not sure, right? I don't think so. I've never seen a goalkeeper be second choice for 4 years back to back. But when it comes to Luna, I'm pretty sure the thinking from him and his wife, especially the wife, is the money and the status and playing in Madrid is second to none. And being part of the story is definitely post retirement. It's gonna be some stuff that holds a tremendous amount of weight. And he knows one misstep from Thibaut, he's right there. But also, if you flip the coin, the other narrative is the fact that if he makes, like you mentioned, in that small window, if he makes a critical error, that's him gone. That's the status of being part of the Madrid, you know, folklore gone. That's a good fat paycheck gone. So I mean, even though we feel sorry for him, when he steps up, he has to perform. There is no way out because if he has a few big blunders, yeah, like I think the club would really think twice about keeping him around. So he is fighting not just for his short term position, but his long term future as well. All the love for Lunin, man. I'm, I'm, um, I'm super happy when I see these kind of performances from Lunin. If you remember the header against Oyarzabal, I mean Oyarzabal isn't Didier Drogba at his prime, but that was point blank. If he doesn't save it, I think it's a guaranteed goal. I think he even saved the rebound as well, right?
Exactly. You say the
Um,
rebound for as well, yeah.
mm. Loden, man, has like if you remember the long shot from Beranchi as well, tip over the bar.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, yeah. The tip
Just
over the bar as well,
absolutely Iker Casillas save. I mean, there is no better way to put it. Yeah, like I'm always over the moon when I see Loden pulling. in the game away from the opposition all by himself. It's really a pleasure to watch. I really, really like Andre Lunin as a keeper, man. He is just exceptional. But yeah, a few of the comments Archie was mentioning, assault on Anoeta. It looked more like an assault on us. I think we handled it pretty well. I think it was an assault on Anoeta because the amount of chances we created, man, we should be going away with more than a goal lead. It's as simple as it, you know. Like Mentor TV was also mentioning Endrick Baller. Right then, Kamavinga, Farooq, any thoughts? Quick thoughts. Started the game a bit
No,
slow, but then grew into the
I felt,
game.
I felt like it was just, again, I would use the word professional for him. I felt like it wasn't a game that was, very, wasn't an exceptional game, but I wouldn't say it was a bad game from him as well. Like
Mm.
nothing, I think, at least in my opinion, nothing of notes, nothing to,
But the curiosity is more surrounding his overall, where his head is at. Because if you see the recent trend is the fact that he has, like we've mentioned many times, right? Like he has costed us a few critical games, down to his, individual errors. And that has kind of brought this doubt into not just Carlos man, but himself as well. Like when I see him start some big games, it's almost like he has to basically feel the game out and then grow into it rather than the likes of
Yeah.
Jude Bellingham, who is just flick of a switch, he's on.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. But also I think maybe a bit of what grows into that as well as let's also go back a couple of months and we remember
Yeah,
the season started with Kamavinga getting injured and then he came back and then he was again I think he had
true,
like a setback or something like that and then
true.
he came back again into the team and when he came back he didn't make the same team he left because before he got injured at first like there was no Dani Ceballos in the equation all of a sudden
Mm,
Dani Ceballos becomes one of the first names in the on the team sheet in the big games and then so it was like it becomes a battle again, and then he comes back. He had a couple of farts here and there. Missed passes, missed time tackles, and stuff like that. That's led directly to goals or
yeah,
created like big dangerous chances for the opposition. So I kind of feel like maybe he's still in that phase of trying to recall back that form that he showed towards the end of last year and stuff like that. So
mm,
maybe that might be also some things that play a role in this. But yeah,
mm,
I think we just need to, maybe wait a bit more to see, Kamavinga, because again, one thing we've seen with Kamavinga again that we have to appreciate, is that Kamavinga has
yeah,
showed himself to not be afraid of the big lights, when the light shines the brightest, like you always see Kamavinga, at the very forefront of it as well. So I think based on that, I think we would, get to see a bit more from him as well. Maybe once he gets to, feel himself as much as, as he was doing
mm.
towards the end of the last year.
I'm telling you, Kamavinga is a midfielder who gets people off their seats. If you remember the run into the box and he laid the ball into Vasquez, Vasquez, weak foot could have done better, but he gave it a good go. But Kamavinga, when he runs into opposition first faces, it's a nightmare, man. I don't know how you stop him. You either foul him or he basically finds a very decent pass out of it. Yeah, I mean that was more or less what Kamavinga's that was Kamavinga's USP breaking into this
Exactly.
team. Remember, we were here, Faru, right? We were right here talking about it. Champions League, big games. He was the guy who decided, like, in a way, changes the City game as well at home. So he has it in him. We know this guy is packed full of talent, packed full of fresh ideas that this midfield sometimes needs. Late in games. But yeah, his effectiveness as a full-fledged starter is still under scrutiny. I mean, he's 22. That is a long time. There's a long time to go. Like I've never heard. I mean, there are some trash tier, reports going on every now and then about Chouameni, about Kamavinga. Oh, they're surplus requirements. There'll be interest from the Uniteds, the Arsenals, but I'm pretty sure he's untouchable, just like the rest of his friends. Jude, Vinny, you name it. Kamavinga, there is a tremendous player there, and I hope towards the second half of the season, despite the couple of injury relapses he had, he gets to make a telling say. Um, but Yeah, let me get into a few more comments. Marcus, big up Marcus, was mentioning it was a bad game thanks to Lunin. Our players should have scored more goals to end this tie on their ground. I mean, given the fact that, you know, they barely, I mean, especially in terms of clear cut chances, they didn't give us much to think about. Going the other way, we did give them, at least a few major scares. And I think you're absolutely right. If we actually had a 2 or 3 goal lead, Endrick would have played the second leg at home comfortably, right? Given the likes of Vinicius, Mbappe, and all much needed rest.
Yep.
Thank God Fede actually is completely disregarded for this tie. He didn't even travel. Good thing. I mean, we should be doing more of this, but we don't do things easy, do we? But yeah, apparently Rudiger went into Sociedad's dressing room after the match and said, long live Bilbao." Rudiger is a madman. But yeah, right, Farooq. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, man. I just want to also like give some flowers to Tchouaméni, man. Honestly, because I know like we've given him a lot of flack, someone like myself actually. But I kind of felt like today he was literally all over the place. When I mean all over the place, I mean in a very positive sense. He was literally blocking shots, putting out fires, like reaching, putting himself in tackles and stuff like that. I do think like maybe a couple of stints back in his favorite position in the middle of the park has given him some confidence back, and now and again he's playing with that much confidence that he was showing 2 seasons ago. But I still do think like there's a lot to
Tchouaméni,
get from Tchouaméni. But like
yeah.
I think this game also sort of was on that game in the right direction for him.
If you remember the back heel as well, edge of the box.
Yeah.
Who took on that shot? Wait, was it Vinny who took on the shot?
Was it Vinny?
I'd written it down. I can't remember anymore. But yeah, like if you remember, there was a
I
dangerous.
remember. Yeah,
You remember, right? I think Jude. It was into Jude. I think was into Jude. It was into Jude. The back heel was into Jude. Back heel was into Jude. But yeah, I've written it down. We need to Tchouaméni back heel to Jude. Brilliant save. I think it was slightly deflected as well. Probably the save of the game from Alex Ramiro. But yeah, man. Also, quickly, Vinicius. We just need to kind of touch over it. I mean, still was threatening, right, Farooq? He had the number on their entire defense.
No, I mean I have no issue with Vinicius the player. I just had an issue with Vinicius the captain, man. I really pity the day when Vinicius becomes our captain if he doesn't grow up, man. I honestly do not feel, because I felt like every second was just whining and complaining, and
he wasn't that whiny, was it today?
No, I kind of feel like every other second he was there with the ref, man. Every other second he was there with the ref. Like I mean, I felt like he was. I mean, as a footballer, I think he was threatening to do okay. Like there was no goal or assist to show that, but this is a game that if you watch it, like Vini was there. Vini was in the game. Vini was a problem for the defenders. You understand? But for Vini, the captain, man, honestly, I'm not I'm not too convinced about that. And I look on the pitch today and I was like, yeah, God, like this is what it's gonna be. But then, thank God at least we have, someone like Fede Valverde who's not going anywhere.
But when he eventually becomes captain, if he sticks around, and if he keeps the sub, he would be 28, 29. It'll be a different.
Yeah, but the point is like Fede Valverde is not going anywhere as well, right? So
yeah, I mean Fede Valverde might be rested, or he might pick up a knock, and it should be winning.
Of course, it's gonna be chill. It's not a problem. But the point is like I mean, Vini should not be like the full-time captain. That's what I mean. Like he shouldn't be the first captain.
Unfortunately, at our club, it's decided. It's decided by the number of appearances you have.
Yeah, it's divided by how long the seniority you're based on the team, like how long you've been at the team. I understand that. That's why I'm again citing Fede Valverde, like that he's saving light and saving hope that at least like the age is close. Is close, so more or less like as long as he's there, he's gonna be there. And then
we have seen Pepe calm down a bit, Ramos calm down a bit with age. Hopefully with Vinny as well.
The point is like Ramos is a leader.
Oh yeah.
He's a leader. I think even the opposition fans will attest to this. Like Ramos is a pure leader. But for Vinicius Junior, it's like he's like he's like a spoiled child who got his favorite toy taken away. You understand?
I know. It seems like that, but I do think like I'm his biggest critic for it, right? But you look at the other side of this entire thing. He it responds to it in terms of a captain, like a captain, by changing the game on his own. I mean, isn't that also, in a way, leadership and taking accountability?
Okay, yeah, that's it. That's leadership, of course. That's it, but
Mm.
there is a reason why Ramos is a better captain than Cristiano Ronaldo is a better than Cristiano Ronaldo is a captain. There is a reason
Yeah,
why
you
Messi
need
is
to
a
have
better
the
captain
other
than
aspect
Diaz. And
of it as well.
exactly, exactly. I mean, the point is like we've seen match winners: Cristiano Ronaldo, Gareth Bale, Karim Benzema, all those guys. They've been one match winners. But you remember when Benzema had the captain number? I remember what you said to us. This
Mm,
team doesn't have leadership,
mm,
and this is what we are seeing till today.
yeah,
Since
yeah.
the departure of the likes of the Ramoses and those guys, we haven't had leadership. This is a team that
Mm,
came from Raul, Gutierrez, Ike Casillas, Sergio Ramos, and now we're here. You understand? Like, so
yeah,
I
yeah.
understand what you're saying in the sense that, okay, you're a captain in the sense that you lead by example. There is a problem, you take the ball, you solve that problem. That's true. There is no doubt about that. But then there is also the other aspect of it as well. So
You
this
make a
is the thing.
valid point.
So this is the thing I want to say. Like, I really love the. I mean, Vini is a player that excites. Like, Vini is a player that's the reason why we love football. Players
Mm,
like Vini are the reason why we love football. Like, so I will never say anything against Vini, the player. Like, I absolutely love him and I adore him. Just like Vini, the captain, is not something that I hope to see a lot during my lifetime.
how long did the captain's armband last?
45 minutes.
45 minutes. First off. And yeah, he like I hope he sorted his itch out, because he just he's just that guy who begs. He just desperate to want to talk to the ref, right? So I think he got his fair share of temptation out of the way for the weekend's trip to San Sebastian. I'm not San Sebastian, to Sevilla, to face Betis away. Not going to be easy. Anthony's is back and whatnot. So I hope these guys are the heads are screwed on. Big up, Ashik was mentioning joining late, gents. I literally fell asleep from the game, just woke up. I mean, come on, Ashik, you have to pay respects.
Like, I mean, it was a snooze fest. Because I say it was a professional performance. There was nothing
Mm,
extraordinary in the game. Like, it
mm,
was just a game that
yeah.
the guys did the job and you just passed it.
Mm. Ashik was mentioning Oyarzabal gave a new meaning to whining today. Um, Yeah, I expect a lot from Oyarzabal, and yeah, he's not that guy who has the finishing touch, is he? He has a few tricks up his sleeve, but he's not that. Ashik was mentioning, are you guys ready for the GOAT this weekend? Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's going to be those eyebrow competitions, with Carlo, who has the finer, threaded, eyebrows. It's going to be peak. I hope Anthony doesn't step up, man. The world has memed him. We have memed him. Everybody has memed him. I just hope we have the answers, for Anthony. Um, I'm not sure where he plays for Betis. Does he play right wing as well? I haven't watched him play for Betis, but yeah,
I think
good
he,
luck.
yeah, I think
What
he
was that?
plays on the right. I think he plays on the right wing. Based on the clips I've seen, I think he plays on the right.
Good luck, Fran Garcia. Fran Garcia's back pass. My God, I've written it down here. Oh my God, if you remember, like during the first 2 minutes to Lunin, bro, like you have to basically give Lunin man of the match for that, right? It's crazy. It's crazy.
Had a very difficult day against that Hugo today as well. I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Hugo was quite lively as well. But I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. Like like with Fran, I mean, it's something that we come to expect. Like he's not the most sound. Like, of course, this season he has grown a lot as a defender, but
Yeah.
I do think like again, Hugo is one of the best wingers in the league. Like we just have to
Mm,
admit that. And also, like
mm,
it's not easy. Playing against those guys.
100%. Fran Garcia had a neat couple of moments. If you remember, he lost the ball and then he won the ball back against two guys down by the byline. Uh, he has his moments. He has his moments. He makes some very really threatening runs. Also, like if you remember, like I'm not sure who tried to play him in behind, but I think it was Zobi Mendy who puts a leg out and breaks that transition. From it developing into something meaningful. Yeah, Fran Garcia, I think, is always willing. to cover the distance. So yeah, there's a reason why he has kind of elevated his overall rep, in our colors, especially this season. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. People who came on didn't get much time to make an impact, did they? Brahim and the likes. Mendy came on. I was praying to God, my goodness, if you remember the Mendy attempted challenge on I can't remember who it was, last kick of the game. Farooq, you remember that, right?
Yes,
Crazy.
cool. Yeah.
I've seen those given. I mean, why do people give it? That's the whole reason why there is a debate. Oh, was it a pen? Was it a pen? Right? It's
I felt
absolutely.
like I felt like Kubo was also in that mood because I felt like Kubo would have gotten the ball if he had not like sold that challenge. I
Mm.
thought it wasn't a pen, but then of course, like okay, people are then like, yeah, you're a Real Madrid
If you
fan. Of
remember,
course,
there
you're
was
not gonna
an
say
Ashik was mentioning in the watch along, there was an Olympic dive from Vinny, if you remember the first half as well. He puts his arm out, and then immediately, the moment Vinny sees, the defender's arm out, he's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go to the turf. That's it."
I remember that. I
Mm,
remember
yeah,
that.
people
Crazy.
are gonna be keeping this. People are gonna keep, people are gonna be keeping these receipts for later. Like, man.
I mean, the point is like you can
Yeah.
keep the receipt for later for whatever you want to do. But I mean, we told
Mm,
you respect. Yeah, Neymar was a phenomenal player, but like never led any team to anything. Like Vini has done this, twice, led us to the Champions League, and we've won the Champions League. You understand? So, I mean, you
mm,
can name Vini all you want, but the point is, Vini is the ultimate big game player. As it's going right now, Vini most likely might even eclipse, the contribution that we've seen from Cristiano in the knockouts. I think now he has
mm,
like 24 goal contribution in the knockouts since he started playing the knockouts. Like, I mean, 24 goal contributions in 3 years, in 4 years. That's absolutely crazy. And in knockouts.
mm.
I
Yeah.
maybe I exaggerating the number or something like that, but I remember like like literally he scored or assisted in every knockout that he's played. So like
Bar
that's
Liverpool. Yeah.
exactly. That's like absolutely insane. So that's the thing.
Mm,
Like, I mean, yeah, I mean, of course, like we always talk about like Vini and what he and his antics and everything. But like the point is, comment them and like, you need a player to rise. Vini rises.
100%. Ashik was mentioning the game. Today's player of the game should go to Laria's goalie, Ramiro, but then again, Lonin was no slouch either. The challenge at the end was against that cotton candy. The kid will drop to the floor if you even look at him. Um, Kubo, right? I mean, yeah, Kubo has a chip on his shoulder when he tries to, have a matchup against us, but unfortunately, it hasn't really panned out for him against us. But he has basically been a mainstay at Sociedad. I think that it has worked out. I think fairly okay for both parties involved. Um, Next matchup, Betis. Hopefully, Saturday. I think the game is on. It is on Saturday. 6 p.m. kickoff Madrid time. We'll hopefully have the
Yeah.
preview maybe Friday. Not sure about if Jacob is going to be back because he's dealing with some work matters, but I'm pretty sure we're going to be here for the preview as well. And then right after it's the Champions League first leg at home. Um, yeah, I'm super nervous, man, Farooq. I just hope we survive this month. It's not going to be easy. Um,
One
yeah,
game
we were
at a
kind
time,
of getting 100%, 100%. We were kind of getting to the closing thoughts from Farooq, but I think we have discussed everything or more, pretty much. But yeah, second leg, 1st of April. It's gonna be a nice matchup. It's good in a way that the tie isn't completely out of Sociedad's hand. There'll be some hype for the second leg. There'll be some much needed anticipation leading up to it. So, uh, yeah, all in all, I think we can sleep in peace tonight. Big up people in the chat as always. Big up people tuning in later. Always. I sometimes forget to mention it these days because of how fucking hectic this schedule is. It's impossible to keep up. It's literally, a game every 2 days is mental. But I would like to again appreciate the love, the people on our audio platforms has shown us over the years. They make this, possible, really, because when we started, it was mainly on Spotify and Apple, and those guys, whenever I've spoken to them, always said very, very humbling stuff. Um, how we accompany them on their daily routines and whatnot. So it's super nice. Do keep sending us, positive, negative feedback. Some people have, completely disagreed with some of our takes, and we get to have these good, civil conversations. It's always nice. Sometimes, um, online, especially forums like X, your Twitter and Reddit, it's a war zone. People rarely give the other side a prayer, right? But it's nice, man. Healthy conversations, football conversations is always welcome, and yeah, super thankful for all the love and appreciation that you guys have shown us over the last 3.5 4 years. But yeah, big up our sponsors, Manscaped. Go check them out. LBI20. Fanatics link is in the description below. Also, go show some love to Talksport Fan Network. Um, by that I mean the Talksport, socials. This pod and everything on LBR is officially powered by the Talksport Fan Network, powered by the fans. So until next time, Farooq. Ala Madrid.
Madrid.